Sit!
Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
He's Garrett Price.
How's it going?
And we are kicking off our 2026 Rookie Prospect Reviews. That's right. The time has come. We're finally going to dive into this 2026 class. If you're new to this for our show, we've been doing this for going on 12 years now. This is our 12th year of breaking down rookies. We've had a ton of success doing this. We break down every player just about in detail and give you their overall profile. We're looking at it from a dynasty lens and a fantasy football perspective. If you follow along with the nerd score and everything we do, our takes outperform draft capital. So you're not going to find a better place to dial in for these rookie takes. But, listen, it's the rookie draft. Some of it's going to be a crapshoot. And we always kick it off with the biggest crapshoot of all, and that's the quarterback class. Because, we say all the time, NFL GMs get paid millions upon millions of dollars to get this right, and they have a 50-50 chance of hitting on these players. And it's, there's so much going on with the quarterback. It comes down to mental coaching, learning, and be able to basically read NFL defense that it's so hard to predict these guys. So NFL draft capital, what we've learned over the last couple of decades, is extremely important, right? If you're a top 10 pick, your odds are significantly better. If you're outside the top 10, your odds are significantly worse, honestly. It really does go down there. If you're still a first round pedigree, but you're getting drafted in the teens or 20s, your odds of being success drop so drastically. And then anything outside the first round, it's you're a wing and a prayer, right? You hope for the best. You really do hope for the best. And this year's, you've heard it everywhere. This draft class is probably the worst draft class we've seen in a very long time. Probably the worst class I've seen since probably 2012, somewhere around. Again, I always go back to that Jacquizz Rodgers class. Was kind of doo-doo butter. But, this draft class, it really does lackluster at talent. You'll hear people talk about receivers. When we get there, we'll actually see what we have. Running backs, not a lot there. And quarterbacks, everybody's saying, hey, there's only one real quarterback that's deserving to go in the first round here, and that's Fernando Mendoza. And the rest are I don't know. But after watching all the tape, I will say I came away a little bit more pleasantly surprised with the quarterbacks. That being, I don't think any are future superstars, but when you could chase a quarterback that offers athletic upside, rushing ability, guys that can down their legs, it's always going to be somewhat intriguing from us fantasy football perspective players, right? They get a good path, and I think this class at least offers some guys with that, right? There's some guys with some good size and arm talent, and then there's some guys with some really good athletic ability that might be able to get down with their legs.
Yeah, there's definitely some guys that I came away going, all right. I could see this guy as kind of a borderline starter. A high-end backup. Maybe he gets a chance at some point. So there's diamonds in the rough like that. And to your point, Rich, there are definitely athletic freaks in there in this draft class, and we'll get to those guys. One of them today. I think one of them maybe tomorrow. I wouldn't call him a freak, but just some good rushing upside guys.
And I think the nice part about this class on the whole, trying to look at from a glass half full type of lens, because we could definitely be very, very negative, and we're going to try our best not to, but we also got to keep it real. We got to tell you, here's who we're drafting, here's who we're not drafting, and here's why. But looking at it from a glass half full perspective, I think even though there are fewer guys that I would draft with any level of confidence that they will be fantasy football assets for my team, there are, I would say, more than usual dart throws that I'm interested in, where I'm I could see how this could work out. I could see how this guy turns into a Brock Purdy or a Jalen Hurts or I could see the path. I don't believe in it fully, but I'm willing to take a chance in the third and fourth round on some of these guys just because of what the ceiling could be. So yes, less sure things, but more scratch off lotto tickets than normal.
Yeah, I mean, I think Malik Willis is the latest guy to kind of bring that to fruition of kind of why to chase this. And then I'll go even a step further, Garrett. I think with this class being, and this is, I don't even want to, to the point where I don't even want to really narrow it down to even Superflex leagues, but mostly Superflex leagues, where this draft class is so weak. Instead of grabbing some running back that's really not even that talented, let alone get a clear path of opportunity. Some of these guys are probably like, if I'm a contender, just great dart throws to put on your taxi squad, right? Like, hey, this guy offers some rushing upside. I think if he gets in, he gets an opportunity. I think he'll score relevant fantasy points because he can get down his legs. I'm not overly concerned with him processing defenses, reading defense, and going through his reads. I think he's athletic enough to get it done with his legs, so he could actually help me down the road. So I came away more intrigued that way with saying, hey, you know what? If I'm a contender and I'm sitting there at 212 and, you know, there's player X here on the board, and we'll talk about some of these guys, I'd rather just go ahead and take him than wide receiver 16 or running back 4 in this draft class. Maybe there'll be some tight ends there possibly too, but like, I think of all those years, I think that's probably your best dart throw. So in a weak class, at least these quarterbacks kind of give that opportunity for you to kind of jump in and grab that value. So I think when I do my overall Superflex rankings, there's a couple guys I can kind of see when it all plays out, getting a couple bumps, just because I think in that short-lived window, they will offer a very high ceiling with a rushing floor. We see guys like that, like Justin Fields, who we talk about all the time, who consistently can be a top 7 quarterback in fantasy, just getting it done with his legs. And we'll have a guy that you have a good comp to, I think also brings that to fruition, which again, there's one quarterback in this. He's such an athletic freak. They might find ways of getting the ball outside of quarterback.
Yeah, that's true.
So with that being said, let's dive into the 2026 rookie quarterbacks.
All right, guys, let's get started here. We're going right to the top here. Fernando Mendoza, Indiana quarterback, 6'4" 3/4", 236 pounds, 9.5-inch hands, 31 7/8 inch arms. He had a 76 3/4 inch wingspan. He is 22 years old. He didn't run anything at the combine, didn't participate in the combine. He showed up for the measurements, and that was it. Last year at Indiana, in 16 games, he was 273 of 379 attempts for a 72% completion percentage, 3,535 yards passing, 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and he had 90 attempts for 276 yards on the ground and an additional 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, and a lot of those kind of coincide with his career averages as well. Like, he's a pretty steady Eddie here. And, let's just start with the basics. We're going my pros and cons of Fernando Mendoza, because, I'll start with the first thing. He's a very pleasure to watch. Like, he's a fun quarterback to watch. And you'll see a lot of Matt Ryan comps for Fernando Mendoza, and I think those really hit the nail on the head. He does remind me a lot of a Matt Ryan as well, coming out of Boston College. And, the big thing here is this is a kid that came out and won the Heisman Trophy and took the hard gauntlet through and won a national championship for Indiana. Like, that alone. And it wasn't because, like, listen, he had a really good offensive line as well. He had a solid team around him, but this was Fernando Mendoza's team. Everything they accomplished this year was because of Fernando Mendoza. Singular. It takes a team to win, but without him, they're not even a playoff team. So that is such an incredible feat, and it's such a credible resume by itself. That gets you, I don't care what anybody else says, that gets you a couple points in my book as well, which tells me, like, hey, I don't care where he gets drafted, what situation he finds in. This kid with his attitude and his mentality will find a way. He's a very positive, if you read see his interviews, he's a little quirky. But that's great because, like, he has a leadership mentality. When I see him, Fernando Mendoza, he's a leader. And when you look at him, Matt mentioned some of his accuracy issues. I mean, 72%, that's absolutely phenomenal completion percentage. When he gets in the red zone, the dude's untouchable. 39 touchdowns, 0 interceptions inside the 20-yard line. Going back to 2024, he's one of the most reliable quarterbacks you're going to find in this class when it comes to accuracy. And listen, when I judge quarterbacks, I don't care about how far they can throw it, how fast they can run. I want my most important qualities in a quarterback are accuracy and smart and intelligence. That's what I want in my quarterbacks, and he has all of that. I mean, his accuracy. I mean, he has that point accuracy. When he has the back shoulder fade down as good as Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is probably the best to ever do it, right? Like he's that good on it. He turns the ball over so low, only 22 interceptions in his career out of 1,249 attempts. He's tough. He'll stand in the pocket and he'll take those big hits. We saw it over and over throughout the playoffs and the end of the year out there. 42 pressures in 2025, still completed 68% of his throws there. Has the big frame to stand in that pocket. 6'5", 225. So again, that Matt Ryan comp, like he can stand there and get it done in the pocket. And you'll hear people say that he ran a lot of quick passes out there, the RPO system with that good offensive line. I saw him accomplish everything he needed to do at all three levels of the field. And when you talk about cons, the number one thing we're going to talk about, well, like his arm's not elite. He's not a mobile quarterback. And to me, his arm is good enough. He's definitely got enough zip on the ball for me that I don't think there's any phase of the field that I am worried about him. And even though like he's got his pocket mobility and escapability isn't the best, right? He had a ton of sacks in 2025 as well. But to me, he can still get it done with his legs. Like when it matters, like he'll go out there and he'll stretch for it and he'll get it. And we saw that in the national championship game as well with that running for the win to go take it off the top. So for me, this is something to go out there and get it done with his legs when he needs to be. And there's quarterbacks out there that can win that way. Like we said, going back to Matt Ryan, we have Joe Burrow in the league right now. And we can all assume he's going to go to the Raiders. He's got Brock Bowers. He's got Ashton Genty there. And this is something they're going to build around as well. And they got a lot of money in free agency. So he's not a dual threat quarterback out there. But his arm is good enough and his decision-making is good enough to me where, like, this is something I can draft and count on for the next 12 to 15 years on my team who could be, quarterback anywhere from quarterback 6 to quarterback 13. Again, maybe not to start off as a rookie, but somebody could be consistently a quarterback 1, very high-end quarterback 2, and a high-end scoring player for me. And in a draft class, I think, a tough decision I think we're going to have with Fernando Mendoza is, the people that have the 1-2 in Superflex leagues, right? Like, man, like I can get Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson here, Mekhi Lemon, but here's Fernando Mendoza. And I think for me, he's a very, like, there's not a lot of quarterbacks you come out and say, this guy's safe, right? Like you talk about, this guy could be really good. He looks good. To me, I see a very low floor with this guy. I see a starter in the league, very high floor. I'm sorry. I see a starter in the league for a very long time who can stay pretty consistent and actually get better at the next level. And he's got Clint Kubiak coming in too, so it's a really good fit out there in Las Vegas for him as well. He's got all the accolades, Heisman Trophy, Dave O'Brien Award winner. This is something I feel very comfortable with. And I know I'm in a league where my quarterbacks I have the 1-2 in one league in a Superflex, and I have J.J. McCarthy and I have Trevor Lawrence. And those are my quarterbacks. Like, I'm taking Fernando Mendoza. Like, I'm already dead set after watching this tape. I'm 100% taking Fernando Mendoza.
That's exactly what I was going to say when you were talking about all that stuff. If you need a quarterback and you're sitting at 2, it's an easy decision. You take him and you take whatever you're going to get, because he might not be a high end, top 5 guy, but I can guarantee he's not going to be a 20. He's not going to be in the 20s anywhere. He's going to be in the high teens and low 10 type of guy for most of his career. He's very solid all around. To your point about him running the ball, I think he's good on like designed rollouts and all that kind of stuff. He can throw on the run, all that kind of stuff. I think where he runs into problems is when pressure sneaks up on him. He doesn't have quick feet. His first couple of steps are slow. He gets going and he can, in a straight line, he can run. He can make some things happen with his legs, but it really takes like a gaping hole and for him to take maybe 3 steps for him to really get up to full speed there when he's running the ball. So that's the kind of guy he is. Like it's really got to be there, and it's like, oh, I can go get this first down. I'm going to go run for 5 yards, but maybe it'll turn into 15 if it's open. So that's the kind of rusher I see him as. As far as his fits in NFL offenses, to your point, he's got excellent ball placement, all that kind of stuff. The questions I have is, he ran out of this RPO shotgun-based offense that was really like a catch, maybe a 3-step drop at most, and the ball was coming out really fast. So, where is he with the footwork from under center? In a Kubiak offense, he's going to have to do that kind of stuff and do a bunch of design rollouts, which we know he can roll out. I've seen him do that stuff out of the shotgun, but can he do it from under center? So these are the only the questions I have about him, but he is easily the cleanest prospect in this draft from the quarterback position. And I fully expect him to go number 1. I would be shocked if something happened that he didn't go number 1. He would have to get arrested, which was that funny joke that was kind of going around. Some NFL exec told him he should go get arrested so he'll slide in the draft and kind of fall to him. So he's a very clean guy. There's not much I can add to what you said. I think the other knock, that's not really a knock because he has really good ball placement, is he was throwing to pretty open guys a lot. And in the NFL, the windows are going to get smaller. And the defenders are going to get faster. So the slow first step and the fact that he was throwing to pretty wide open guys is a concern. Not enough that it's going to sway me one way or the other. I think he's going to be able to overcome that stuff, but it's just something I noticed while I was watching the tape.
Yeah, I think it's going to be on the Raiders to really build a good offensive line around him and to find a lot of good success long term. Because you're right, once those defenders get inside that pocket, that's where the sacks came from. And I mentioned he did take a decent amount of sacks.
Yeah, he took 25 sacks last year.
25, yeah.
BFF. Yeah.
Yeah, and part of that is because he played so many more games than everybody else. When you're playing 16 games and
for sure.
Everybody else is playing 11, 12, 13. That does increase that number a little bit. But I kind of came up with my own little metric system, and look, I've kind of back tested it to see how things worked out with former prospects, but I'm not going to go into all the details, but it looked at a lot of the metrics that tend to be predictive things for the next level. And I looked at guys that hit these certain thresholds, and I'm not going to go into all of it, but at average depth of target, big throw rate, completion percentage, rushing grade, pressures that turned into sacks, and yards per attempt. And the guys that got all 6 of those categories of all the players from 2018 class, which was a great quarterback class, to today, the ones that had the best or that were taken in the first 3 rounds, here's the guys that hit the thresholds in all of those, it's a short list. There's 8 guys. We have Jackson Dart, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Drake May, Michael Penix, Cam Ward, Joe Burrow. And then the next one would be, if he hits, Fernando Mendoza. So it's a pretty short list overall. And if you look at a lot of those names, the only one in there that you're like, I don't know, we'll see about Michael Penix. But everybody else on that list were quarterbacks that you're like, yeah, these are good fantasy assets. These are franchise building assets. Fernando Mendoza would fall into that same category, which he would be the only guy in this class that's even close to it. The rest of the guys are hitting 3 of the 6 or 2 of the 6 thresholds, and he's hitting all 6. So he just has a very, very good all-around game. Another guy that I could see a little bit of is a guy like Justin Herbert, just a big, strong guy that can move around and make plays with his legs when he needs to, but that's not his first answer. His first answer is to win in the pocket, win in rhythm. Okay, then I roll out, try to make something work outside the box. Then scenario number 3, all right, I can win with my legs if I need to, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I think for me, he would have, I don't want to say easily, but he would have been the quarterback 1 in last year's class. And I think I would have been debating him as a prospect right around, probably right at or after Drake May, like right in that type of range as a prospect in the 2024 class. So I would have had him ahead of McCarthy and Nix and Penix. And, and he would have been right around Drake May. We obviously all had Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels very high, but I think he is a good player. I think he is a safe player. I love that you don't have some of the character concerns that you have with other guys at times. It's just, if you want to play it safe, I think, especially in Superflex, he's a really good route to go.
No doubt about it. So any final thoughts before I wrap it up and go to the next guy?
Yeah, I think Garrett did say the same big thing is just a safe player, right? In Superflex. And going back to that, like you could just never have enough good quarterbacks on your roster. And if you're picking that high, listen, you need really good players. And remember, like a good quarterback is going to be a very easy asset to trade. It's going to get you the running back you want, and get you the receiver you want, and get you the draft pick you want. And it's going to be interesting because listen, that next year's draft class is going to be really solid at quarterback. But like that being said, there's a lot of guys we're going to talk about today that were supposed to be very solid this year because they went back to school. The next guy. So like it's easy to say, oh, Lenore Sellers next year. Like these guys are all supposed to be great. We're going to talk about 2 to 3 guys in these next 2 episodes that were supposed to be top 10 NFL draft picks this year, and none of them are even going to the first round at this point. So to me, getting a guy like Fernando Mendoza, and listen, we haven't got the receivers yet, and everybody needs those guys as well. But for how deep the receiver class is, and just as a whole, like even in Dynasty altogether, and coming out the next year, like. I think the one argument can be made is like you pass Mendoza and take the receiver, knowing you probably get a quarterback next year, probably as good as Mendoza potentially, and take the receiver. That's the one argument I will make. Like, oh, dude, I'm gonna take Jordan Tyson, I'm gonna take Carnell Tate, just because next year I'll probably be a little bit better off 1-4, but I'll for sure be able to get like a Julian Sand at that point or a Lenore Sellers. So that is the kind of argument is you could wait on Fernando Mendoza because of that.
Real quick before we move on to the next guy, Matt and Rich, I definitely see him as a very safe floor guy, and I think he's got a ceiling. I don't know that it's like top 5, top 6 type ceiling unless everything goes perfect. Like it would have to be a truly perfect bubble that would happen where him and Kubiak really mesh perfectly. They bring in an amazing wide receiver to complement him. The running game is counteracting well, but not taking over. Like, I feel like everything would have to go perfect for him to be a top 5, 6 guy. Do you guys agree or disagree on that?
No, I disagree. I think that's a common theme that's coming around Mendoza. I think he can get better.
So you think you could be a top 6, top 3 type of guy?
I listen. I'm not saying that's hard to do, no matter what, right? But I think he could. Yeah. Again, like he has. You mentioned Justin Herbert. Like, do we think Justin Herbert can get there? We always do. He hasn't gotten there, but we think he could. But remember, like Matt Ryan had some pretty prime years there in Atlanta when he had that really good running game and had Julio Jones.
True.
And listen, he's already got Ashton Genty. He's got Brock Bowers like to start there. So he's got to find a receiver. Listen, the Raiders are probably gonna have a pretty high draft pick next year. So for them to come in and have a chance to get like a Jeremiah Smith to add to this roster as well, like I think Tom Brady's there as well, so they got good guidance how to build around this kid who also wasn't not a very mobile quarterback. I disagree with a lot of these people that are going there and saying, "Oh yeah, he's a good guy, but he's always going to live in that quarterback 12 range." He not being mobile is always going to hurt, but I think he could potentially have like a window here, like his 26, 27 age to like 30 age where he's like considered like he's an MVP candidate. Like that good. I think he can get better. I think his ball placement, his accuracy is that good, and his decision making is that good.
That's what it will take. I mean, it will take an MVP type of season, and obviously, I mean, I don't have crystal balls, but the way I see him right now, I do see him a little bit lower. I think he's going to struggle to get up to that top 5 area, but I mean, anything's possible. So I guess don't rule it out, but that's not how I see them. That's not how I view him right now.
And that's why I said it's like he's most likely going to live in that quarterback 6 to quarterback like 13, 14. That's most likely. But like I see a player on tape that can get, like Fernando Mendoza can win you a Super Bowl with the right team around him. And it's easy to say,
I wouldn't
Garrett,
disagree
like
with that. I think the Kubiak offense is throwing me a little bit because as good as it's going to be for his development, it's usually not this like high octane passing attack, which is the thing that is throwing me a little bit.
But I'm not even worried about that. Like I don't worry about coaching staffs at a rookie quarterback. You know what I mean? Their teams on bad teams altogether. Like, 5 years from now, what's the odds of Kubiak even being a coach in 5 years are slim to none,
Sure.
right? Like his team's gonna be so much different. So, yeah, again, I'm not trying to say like, oh, I believe in that much. I just think a lot of people are going to say the same thing you did about Mendoza. I really do think he's got the arm and the accuracy and the smarts to get it done. And he has got to get it done like Herbert. He's got to get it done like Joe Burrow. He's got to get it done like Matt Ryan got done. He's got to get it done like Tom Brady got it done, right? Like Peyton Manning got it done. Like, and it can happen. He's had the number 1 overall pick pedigree, the highest rate of success that we've seen so far. So yeah, man, I think a lot of people are gonna have that, and but again, but I'm okay with that too. 6 to 13. That's still a top 25, top
absolutely.
30 overall scorer. So like, I'm totally okay with that too. And the realistic thing from a fantasy football perspective, yeah, it's gonna be really hard for him to get there because he doesn't have rushing upside. So there's always these quarterbacks that are gonna outproduce him just because they have 800 rushing yards as well. But I still think he could be, when you say top 6, if he's quarterback, that's still in a very elite category.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Never number 1. It'd be very hard to be number 1, but you never know.
Agreed. Without the rushing upside. All right. So moving on to our next guy. It's Garrett Nussmeier, our man G here. Quarterback LSU, 6'2", 203 pounds, 9 1/8 inch hands, 30 3/8 inch arms. He is 24 years old as of the 7th of February. So he just turned 24. Last year at LSU, in 9 games, he completed 194 passes for 1,927 yards, passing 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He had 29 rushes for negative 57 yards rushing and a touchdown. So not adding a lot on the ground. He was banged up, though. I do want to kind of, I think, preface our conversation here with him with the fact that he injured himself before the season started. Basically, one of the first practices, ab/oblique injury that really, it sounded like it was giving him like a stabbing pain every time he threw the ball. So the 2025 tape looks different than the 2024 tape. So he was one of these guys that we were talking about. He had a chance of going in the first round, or everyone thought he'd be a guy that was talked about in the first round, and really he's not talked about that at all now. And I think it has a lot to do with this injury. So let's get into him.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that was, I think, a big part of the evaluation for a guy like Garrett Nussmeier, because he was the odds-on favorite for the number 1 quarterback in this class coming into the season. Almost every mock that you saw, he was either the number 1 or the number 2 guy. And usually when he was number 2, it's because they thought that Arch Manning was going to come out and he was going to be the next guy. So of the realistic guys that come out, it was usually Nussmeier as the next one that people were getting excited about, that people were talking about. And he's a little bit undersized, not a super big guy. So I know that there's going to be some concerns about that. That really didn't play a lot for me. It didn't seem to really limit him in the way that he plays. We have a true pocket quarterback here that played better football in 2024 than he did in 2025. And even when you look at, all of the stuff that he did in some of the All-Star games and his throwing at the combine, and I get it, it's against air. You can only take so much of that into account. But we saw a player in 2024 that, despite not having like the super big frame and the huge arm, like he could sling it. Like there was some legitimate velocity on his ball. He could throw good deep balls. He could squeeze it into tight spaces because he would put so much pepper on it. Like this is a guy with a very, very live arm, and things just didn't look the same this year. So much so that it got to a point where he even got sent to the bench for a period of time. So I think with all of that, it makes him one of the more difficult quarterbacks to evaluate in this class. But what I do like is, when we're looking at these quarterbacks, he is one of the quarterbacks that has hit that starts metric that we're looking for. He's a player that's played a lot of football, played in a lot of games. And so I feel better about him than maybe some other guys because of that. And I do think he's got enough moxie enough accuracy, because we saw him at times. One of the negatives that I'll highlight is he could get into a bit of like he could get a little reckless at times, where he would want to put the team on his back and do some Superman type stuff.
A lot of hero ball.
Yeah. And so that was, I like a guy that's willing to put on the cape, but it just didn't always work. And that was the hard part, is like, you've got to still play within systems, because I think that's when he's at his best. When he's playing within the system, when he's playing on time, I think that's when he was at his best. I think for me, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think the gap between healthy Garrett Nussmeier and Ty Simpson is not that big. I think it's a pretty thin gap between those two guys. And where I'm anticipating draft capital today, I might rather a second round Nussmeier over a first round Ty Simpson from an NFL perspective. Fantasy perspective, obviously, you give the nod to the guy in the first round. He's going to get more chances to play, more chances to start, whatnot. But he seems more pro ready than I think a lot of the other quarterbacks in this class are. I think he's a guy that you could plug in early on and would be just fine running an NFL offense. So I'm actually, I think maybe a little bit higher than consensus on Nussmeier. I don't think he's bulletproof. I think there's a lot of potential holes in his game, but there's enough there on paper to see why he could be successful. And I think he could be one of these, second round quarterback success stories. And if he does enough good things here in this last month or two leading up to the draft, he might be one of those names that we're like, oh wow, a team traded up to 32 to get him, or something like that. That wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. There's some interesting things here with him. Obviously, he is the son of Doug Nussmeier, who's the OC there in New Orleans. So also it used to be a quarterback in the NFL, I think in like the early 90s for a little stretch there. He was a backup quarterback. So, he grew up around the game, all that kind of stuff with a dad that was teaching him how to play at a very young age. So all that kind of stuff are positives in my book. Obviously the injury last year, you saw huge drops in stuff like, you were mentioning ADOT as kind of this, one of those stats that you're putting into your formula there. His ADOT dropped from 9.5 last year down to 7 this past season. And you could see it when you're watching the tape. There were times where he was not really throwing. He looked crippled, like he looked almost like Phillip Rivers. You know how he has like a very awkward throwing motion. Looks like he's like pushing the ball. That's what I saw. I saw him do that at times, and I was like, man, this injury is very significant, to the point where I was like, I don't know how much more 2025 tape I even want to watch. Like I watched 3 games, but then I went to 2024 and watched 3 games of that too, just so I could see kind of both sides of it. So obviously it's much better and much closer to a polished finished product in 2024. The 2025 tape, the deep ball just wasn't there. Everything was kind of falling short. He was skipping balls in, and you just didn't see that kind of stuff on tape in 2024. So there is a big time difference. And I will say, if anyone's getting into the film room and taking a look at this guy in our Dynasty Nerds film room, make sure you're looking at 2024 tape as well. Take a look at this 2025 stuff as reference to see what he did this year. But then really, I think more weight has to be put on that 2024 stuff. And from that standpoint, you're breaking stuff down. He's got pretty clean. Most everything he does is pretty clean. I would say the footwork, he has some off balance throws, which have a tendency to be bad. And I think that's something that'll get cleaned up. He is the son of a coach. I'm sure he's already heard about it and already been working on it kind of in his journey into the NFL now that he's healthy. So I'm excited to see kind of where he lands and see what kind of draft capital he gets. It's going to be huge. That's going to be huge. If it's 4th round draft pick, maybe the NFL doesn't believe that that he's closer to the 2024 stuff. But like, if it's something like you said, he's in the 2nd round, I'm very interested in a guy like Nussmeier.
Yeah, there's two. Going back to that first round pedigree means everything, second doesn't. I think this year's a little bit different because of the way that these quarterbacks lie. There's 2 teams that pick very high, at the top of the draft. The Jets and the Cardinals both picked pretty high in the draft and high in the second round, and they both are going to need quarterbacks. So I'm very interested for the next Tyler Shuck. And remember how good Tyler Shuck looked the second half of the year. Like Tyler Shuck looked like a starting NFL quarterback. They could easily be Garrett Nussmeier. And he came out in the combine and said too, like, oh, what's going on? What happened, Garrett? What happened? And he's like, dude, I was hurt. I hurt myself literally the first practice of the year, and I was not healthy all year long. And he did. I mean, just go look at the Senior Bowl, right? He's a Senior Bowl MVP. Looks significantly better. And Matt, you're right. Like watching his tape, like I heard that in the back of my mind, like, okay, he said he was playing hurt all year. Let's go see. You're right. Like he didn't look right at all. So I went back and just watched 24 tape as well. It was like a completely different quarterback. This guy, Garrett, you mentioned his arm, 100% has that live arm. Really, really impressive. Could put the ball all phases of the field. And I really like, some things you guys didn't talk about. Like I really liked his pocket awareness and his pocket mobility. Didn't take a ton of sacks out there in 2024. Was able to like move inside the pocket and then, make some really good throws out there. And, you mentioned before, Garrett, like the Harrow ball, like I think that's his biggest con at all. Like it seems like, it almost seemed like he'd make a decision on what he's going to do coming out of the huddle. And then he was doing it, right? Like it didn't matter. And we see quarterbacks like that all the time that come out and throw that. And like, I'm overly confident myself. Like it doesn't matter where that defensive player is or if there's two defensive backs. Like, I'm putting the ball in there. I'm going to fit in. And it didn't work out more times than not, right? Like for him, like you said, and that's even in 2024. So for me, like that's something he has to grow out of, right? And because that does not fly in the NFL whatsoever. You're going to end up like a Geno Smith, essentially, if you're going to play out there and get on the bench. But I think, he doesn't come from that coaching pedigree. And I'm with you, Garrett, where like, man, there's way more tape on this guy, essentially, than a guy like Ty Simpson. And with the upside and with his arm, I think in the right situation and with the right grooming, he could definitely be a solid NFL quarterback. Like he moves well enough. His arm is definitely talented enough. I've heard people talk about him being like undersized. He's 6'2", 203. Like he's not under. He's just fine in the NFL. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are out there that are about to be out of a job looking up to him. It's funny, like again, like because there's a quarterback we're talking about too. Like even the guys that go number 1 overall. If you don't have the height, man, like the only person to ever do it at a high level really is Drew Brees, and then you have Steve Young as well. And Baker's kind of getting it done now, but he's 6'1", so it doesn't even really count. But like these quarterbacks, man, you got to have some height to you too. And 6'2" is definitely good enough for me in my eyes. So I'm with you. Garrett Nussmeier is definitely a very intriguing prospect. Kind of going back to like what I said earlier, where I want to lean towards quarterback. I could see myself in a scenario here where like I'm just in Superflex drafts, like I'm coming out with like 3 different quarterbacks and going that route and just wait until 2027. You said I don't really want to settle for the 8th receiver. And it depends where you're picking. And the opposite side of the fit Fernando Mendoza, like you want to go that receiver, like, oh hey, I have 1-2. I'll take Carnell Tate and I'll settle for like a Nussmeier there at 2-2 and hope he goes in the right spot. So I'm with you. I think he goes like top 40. Like it would make sense. Like
I think so too.
It's really hard for me to see like the Jets or the Cardinals kind of like pass up a guy like that for that kind of opportunity.
Even the Browns in the second round, I wouldn't rule them out.
The Browns in the second round. There's just a part of me that thinks the Browns are dead set on the 27 class. Like that's the big thing there. I really think they're just. People are talking about like, oh, the quarterbacks are going to bring in. I really think they're going to roll with Shedeur and Deshaun. I said this before in the show. I think Deshaun Watson's going to be the starter week 1, and I think they're just dead set on 27. I think there will be some other teams as well, just dead set on the 27 class. Yeah. But a couple of teams are going to need quarterbacks regardless, right? We know Kyler Murray is going to be gone off the Cardinals. We know Miami Dolphins are going to be gone. There's only so many quarterbacks to go around right now in free agency, which we'll know here in a week. So I think you do a lot worse than a gamble on a guy on a rookie contract, definitely where he's going to go late in the draft, and a guy like Garrett Nussmeier. I'll take him at his word and say it was injuries in 2025. And you're right, he's got the pedigree. And speaking of pedigree, Matt, who's up next?
The next guy up is Drew Allar, Penn State quarterback, 6'5", 228 pounds. 9 7/8 inch hands, 32 3/4 inch arms, a 79 5/8 inch wingspan. He's only 21 years old. He'll be 22 in later this week, or in the next week or so. He didn't run anything at the combine, but last year at Penn State, in only 6 games, he had a season cut short. He completed 103 passes of 159 attempts, 64.8% completion, 1,100 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He had 36 rushes for 172 yards and an additional touchdown on the ground.
Yeah, Drew Allar, Penn State. It's kind of like me at the circus, right? He just looks the part. Like he really does. This is how you're going to build a quarterback. If you were using CRISPR, this is it, Drew Allar. And he's super young. Like, I don't know how any NFL team, like any quarterback coach, like a legit quarterback coach, guru, does not want to get his hands on a guy like Drew Allar and draft this guy on day 2, because he has got a lot of upside. And, a part of me wants to give him a pass on, not only being young, like, he was supposed to be on a Penn State team that was supposed to be really good, and that team just really fell apart.
He came back because of that.
Yeah, they had no running game. His receivers weren't doing him any favors. Coaching was terrible. Like, he was in a really bad situation as well. But when you look at him, his arm, strong, man. And again, another very live arm.
He's got the best arm in this class. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, kind of like,
to me,
he's got that Justin Herbert arm, right? Like, he can laser it in, throw it down the field. A lot of starts under his belts too. For being so young, he does got a lot of starts under his belt. He looks good when he's clean and he's got his feet planted and he's ready to go. So that's like a good baseline for me. Like, he looks really good there. It's just everything outside of that. Like, when things start to break down around him, he really starts breaking. He's like, he gets really inconsistent. His timing's off. His accuracy's off. When he's got to go outside the numbers, like, the ball could be all over the place. He's sailing footballs down the road. Pressure. When he takes his eyes off of, like, the playing field, I feel like he loses complete track of what's going on in the game. There's a lot of interesting things when it comes to Drew Allar, because it's like there's so much potential there, but it comes off so raw to me, where, like, he needs to come in, sit for like a couple years and get some NFL tutelage and have the potential to be a very good quarterback. Because when he's in there, like, again, like, you see some games definitely going back, if you go back to 2024 as well, because he got hurt in 2025 was such a mess. If you watch some of his, like, I went back and just watched his highlight games against, like, Washington, like Oregon. Like, I just looked up, like, his best games of 2024 and watched those games. And you're like, oh man, this guy could have been a first round pick if he came out like in 2024. Like, he had a chance to do something special there. And you watch this year and it's like everything fell apart around him. He had that bad injury with the ankle that came, like, out of nowhere. Like, all of a sudden, like, oh, hey, Drew Allar's out for the year. He broke his ankle. So he's got to learn how to be a professional quarterback. Like, he's got all the intangibles that you want, but he needs a really good quarterback coach, and he needs time. And the good thing is he has time. Like, he could sit for a couple of years and be 23, as old as like Fernando Mendoza for a couple of years. Yeah. So, like, he's, again, when I talk about, like, oh, where else is drafting these receivers and tight ends, like, Drew Allar is definitely somebody I want to get on my taxi squad and let sit there for a couple of years and see what it could turn into. Because, like, he definitely has a chance to be a great, like, he could be a great quarterback if it all came together. Like, he really could. He could be a great quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Allar is, his good is as good as anyone in this class and most classes. It is the other stuff. When he gets pressure, he gets sped up. It's like almost like a spazzy type of reaction. You know what I mean? And things get bad quick. And they almost like snowball a little bit. He's trying, you could tell he's out there trying too hard at times. But to your point, Rich, he needs somebody like a Sam Darnold got when he was, he came in the league, he was seeing ghosts. Things were just going too fast. I think Allard, he needs time to just sit, be taught properly, and see things. Like he almost needs to see things fail and come back, I feel like, and get things ironed out and slowed down. And when things slow down for him, if they slow down for him, I think he can be a very, very good NFL quarterback. So I can see why NFL teams would kind of almost drool over this guy, because he can make every throw and he can make them look easy at times. But it's the other stuff when there's pressure and when he gets sped up that a coach needs to figure out if he can iron out. I don't know. I don't know if that can be done, but if it can, you've got a special talent on your hands.
And what you're saying, Matt, too, is like he, when we talk about when he gets under pressure, like it almost like he tries to like reset to back where he was compared to like process in NFL defenses and moving on, like almost like, okay, where's my first read at again? Like trying to like reset again. Like it was completely discombobulated.
It's very discombobulated.
He kind of reminds me, and I mean this in every positive way and in every negative way, he kind of reminds me of Daniel Jones. Like when Daniel Jones is right and Daniel Jones is playing well, it's like, man, big arm, solid athlete, can do a lot of good things. But when Daniel Jones is off, it's just like, what are you doing, Daniel? What's happening, dude? And so like he really reminds me, like similar size, similar profiles. Like they remind me a lot of each other. The one thing I really do want to give Allar credit for, though, because I agree with you guys, watching his tape, he could tend to snowball a bit, but those snowballs didn't typically lead to the truly negative plays. And I think that's the thing that gives me a little bit of hope. When you look at his pressure to sack rate, one of the better of like, since 2018, he actually is in like the top 10, top 15 of those guys. So he's in like that top 30 percentile there. And his turnover worthy plays is a very respectable number as well. So for as like bad as things got, it led to a lot of bad incompletions where you're like, he's sailing throws or skidding throws in or completely missing the guy. But they didn't often lead to big sacks. They didn't often lead to big turnovers. So it seems like he knows better in his head, but he still just can't quite get it right. So I think you guys are spot on. I think with the right coaching system, if the right team gets him, McVay decides in the third round that they're going to jump on this kid, or, like the right team gets him, I think he's got a lot of tools. But that's always a big if, because we see guys with tools all the time that don't lead to anything. And it's years later, you're like, oh, what could have been if he could just throw the ball 5 yards? Like,
if Brock Osweiler could get himself straightened out, he had a great arm, man.
Yeah, exactly. So he's definitely a big, like, what if, but every once in a while, those what if guys do turn out into being something legitimate. He's got just as good of a chance as the next guy.
Yeah, it just depends. Like you said, him to the Rams, like late in the draft, like on day 2 would be. Oh. I think where he gets drafted would tell us a lot, right? Because again, for the most part, if you're going in the third round, you're more likely than not a career backup, right? Like that's usually what it's just going to be, unless you get unbelievably lucky, right? And
then you got to do something with that luck too.
Yeah, and then you just have to have the opportunity to even be lucky, right? Like, because again, if you're a third round quarterback to like the Chargers, like it's over. But but again, for every now and then, that luck turns into Malik Willis, right? Like
into Brock Purdy,
into a Brock Purdy. Like at least Brock like got it like right away and held on to it. But the same thing, like. For at least like Willis, you got the right sample size at the right time, right as you're entering free agency, like to be that hot commodity, and you're got to get paid, and you're going to be a starter somewhere, at least to give an opportunity to.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, before we go on to our next guy, Matt, I got to tell everybody real quick about our friends over at my FFPC. .com. I was just on another day looking at some orphans, and Orphan was just released. I'm like, oh, I should buy this team. Like, I'm talking like heavily. There's some teams that are heavily discounted over there right now. I mean, you're getting teams for like $28 on some of these teams, and that's what they offer you right now. You know, none of the other startups going on, but they have some orphans. It's orphan season. You get in there, you have an opportunity to take over a team for discounted rates, and it tells you all the draft picks, all the players. You're like, I'm scouring, make sure all these teams have their 27 picks, and I've been on there really diving on these orphans because they keep updating them, so kind of checking them out. I'm like, oh, I should buy this one. I'm in too many leagues. Oh, I should buy this one. Like, I think I'm going to find one here soon. I'm going to kind of dive into. And my FFPC is a hosting platform that is going to give you the opportunity to build a true dynasty. They have never had a team fold in their existence. That's why they have these orphans to begin with, right? Like if you leave a league, they go out there, they promote them, they sell them, they discount them to make sure your league's full to give you the opportunity to build teams, trade for the future. It gives you the opportunity to try new formats, right? Build your dynasty portfolio, whether you want to play different scoring formats like try Superflex, higher stakes. They have leagues that go up to like $3,000 on there. So if you're just a baller and all your friends are chumps and you can't get any kind of leagues there, but you want to have that like an opportunity to actually play Dynasty and feel comfortable with where your money's going, that's myffpc.com. Go ahead and check them out. If you use the promo code NERDS, they're going to give you a $25 discount in any team you want. So again, if you're buying a team that's thousands of dollars, it's a little chip, but hey, just think your next couple coffees are on Dynasty Nerds. But if you're like buying some of these discount teams that are down to $25, you're getting a free ride essentially in 2026. So check them out. It's myffpc.com. Use that promo code NERDS and get yourself a bigger dynasty portfolio today.
All right, and before we go on to the next one, I do want to just give a quick little thing here, a little ad for ourselves.
You scooped in on me.
Yeah. I'm just sneaking that in here. Roster Rescue. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, Roster Rescue. If you've ever been like, hey, I wonder what like Rich and Garrett would say about my team, like what I should do with this team. We actually have a show on YouTube dedicated to that. You can go on there on our website, get a spot, and we will actually talk about your team. We'll look at your league. We'll give you trade ideas, what direction to take your team, all that. We do those shows live on Wednesdays. We take a little break in the winter, but we're starting that back up on Wednesday of this coming week. So maybe while you're listening to this, we might even be live while you're listening to this. So just wanted to give that quick little plug. That's Roster Rescue. You can head to the Dynasty Nerds website to get a spot.
Nice. All right, moving on, guys, to our next contestant, Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt quarterback, 5'10", but really 5'9" and 7/8, 207 pounds, 9 5/8 inch hands, 28 5/8 inch arms. He is 24. He turned 24 in February. He didn't run anything at the combine, but last year at Vanderbilt in 13 games, he completed 267 passes out of 378 attempts for a 70.6% completion percentage, 3,539 yards passing, 29 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He had 167 rush attempts for 862 yards on the ground and an additional 10 touchdowns. So this guy is putting up some numbers, man. Whoo! Talk about it.
Yeah. All right. So Diego Pavia, look, I'm going to cut to the chase with Pavia. If Pavia was coming in here instead of at 5'9" and whatever, 5'10", and he came in here at 6'3", this would be a very different conversation that we would be having.
Very different.
Yep. QB1 material.
Absolutely. Because there's actually a lot of things that Pavia does right. Like he's got a live arm. He's a good athlete. He's a super competitive guy, and he's putting up numbers in the SEC playing for Vanderbilt. And I know Vanderbilt's better than what they had been, but a lot of that's because of what Pavia has done with this team. So I got to give him as much credit as I can. He's pulled out about as much talent, success that his ability and frame is willing to give him. All of that being said, I just don't know how it works. I just don't know how it works. Like when you're at this size, first of all, I don't think he's going to get the draft capital to even really get a shot. Maybe we see somebody on, round 5 take him just because, But realistically, I don't know who's going to take a shot on him. The other part is he's not quite to the Shedeur Sanders, the Johnny Manziel type level, but there is a little bit of a circus that kind of happens with Pavia. He's a very, very confident individual to the point of coming off extremely cocky. And there's going to be a lot of teams that aren't in love with that. And they can deal with that when you're 6'1", 6'2", 6'3". If you're putting up the numbers he's putting up, they can deal with that. When you've already got the strikes against him that he has, it's going to be really difficult. So it's hard because on one hand, like you're like, what more could this guy have done? I don't know what, like, that's the thing with other guys. We can point to and say, like, what more could they have done? Okay, I could tell you 10 things that this guy could have done. Pavia really did as much as he could with what he had. He just doesn't have enough to be an NFL quarterback, which sounds mean, but I think that's just where we're at.
I mean, I'm totally with you there. It doesn't help the offense. The offense that he was in was like this funky kind of triple option, almost like goofy offense.
Yeah.
So he's coming out of a weird offense. He's 5'10". I think you mentioned he would do anything possible to win a play, every single play. So he has got baller mentality in him. You can see his cockiness on the field before
100%.
you talk and hear. Yeah, before you hear him. So you want that to a degree for a quarterback. You don't want it to go too far to where people don't like you, because then you're in like Carson Wentz area and all that guys. Sure. You don't want to be that far down that road.
He's
but
pretty
you do
close
want
down
some
that
of
road.
What'd you say?
He's pretty close to being down that road.
Well, yeah. But I'm with you. I mean, I do not see how this is going to work. I think he's ranked 10th out of the guys that we're going to go over today for me right now. And I put a little note next to him, would be higher, if not for his size. And that's just the reality of the situation. Hey, if you love Kyler Murray, you'll like this guy, but he's not Kyler Murray. He's not as good as Kyler Murray. You know what I mean? But he's the same size as Kyler Murray coming in.
Makes Kyler Murray look tall.
He's got shades of Baker Mayfield, right? Like you could see that in some of his he'll do anything to win a play mentality, but he's not 6'1". He's not really 5'10", though he's listed at 5'10".
I don't know how he's even 5'10", dude, because I saw him standing with other quarterbacks at the combine, and he was a foot shorter, it looked like. Like, it wasn't a couple inches. Like, he was unbelievably shorter than him. I don't know. I don't believe he's 5'10".
Whatever. Well, the Senior Bowl, he weighed in, or he measured in at 5'9" and 7/8. So he's not 5'10". They gave him that extra eighth of an inch there at the combine. Or he's been talking to Johnny Manziel. Maybe he did like the stretching thing that Johnny did before the thing to get a couple
calloused up his heels,
extra quarter inch or whatever to get his height up. So I don't know. It's it's a tough one.
He's gonna have a great career in the USFL or XFL. That's where his best bet's going to be. I don't know how he even gets drafted, to be honest with you, because I just don't see how any NFL team go this guy and I can win with him. Like I think, the clearest example we're talking about Kyler Murray and Tua just getting cut. Like these guys went number 1 overall, and they couldn't put together the NFL. And a lot of
and Tua is 6 foot. I mean, he's not.
Tua is 6 foot. Yeah, exactly. So, dude, again, he's a dog. And you talk about what he did in the field. He was excellent all around, but Garrett, like he wasn't, if you look at his game stats too, like it shows, he was not excellent against the SEC. Like all his bad games were against SEC. Now, counterpoint, the Big Ten.
I'm taking 24 and 25 together. He had that great game against Alabama where he upset them. And
Texas had a great defense this year. He had a great game versus Texas. Like you watch him, he rushes the ball well. He threw for like 380 yards versus Texas as well this year. Like
who is SEC now?
Oh, they are an SEC now. Okay, so the Texas was the only SEC team. Every else, I think he was under 200 yards against every other team. But like he's a fun watch.
Auburn's SEC 377 yards.
Okay, sorry,
but they're Auburn. I mean,
but yeah, man. And listen, he runs the ball extremely well for his size. He's a little stocky bulldog. He's got a really good arm. He's got good accuracy. but a guy who's 5'10", unfortunately, you should have played baseball. You know what I mean? Like, if you're that good of an athlete, like, you should have got into majors. You should have tried to become a Major League Baseball player. And that's where a lot of those people go. Like, if you're a stud athlete, like, you end up going playing baseball just because, like, you don't have the height. That's why all the baseball players are like, I remember the first time I met Stephen Kwan, I'm like, dude, how's this dude awesome? Like, I could pick him up with one arm. You know what I mean? Like, this is amazing. Like, shout out to Stephen Kwan, Gold Glover. But he's like like his rookie year, I was like talking to him for a little while. I'm like, this dude's so tiny. Like, this guy's an amazing baseball player. Diego Pavia is not meant for the NFL. Like, I think it's a very long shot he gets drafted at all. He might get an invite to camp. I don't know how he makes a roster as well, because he won't be able to see over the offensive line. Like,
and the hard part is, if a team drafts him, he's got enough name cachet that it's just a circus you don't want to have, because all it takes is a bad game or two for your starting quarterback. And like, let's just give the kid a shot. Let's throw him in, see what he can do. He's scrappy. Like, teams just don't want to deal with that. So
that just sucks, dude. It sucks for him. You know what I mean? Like, a couple inches, like, could have changed your, like, but listen, man, it's the way life works, man. I'm sure he'll have a great life regardless, of this, but like, he doesn't have the body type to succeed in the NFL. It's like being a 6-foot receiver that weighs 150 pounds. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Exactly. I mean, totally correct. And to both your guys' point, if he does happen to slip into the draft and it's a 5th, 6th round pick, and he brings the circus along, if he ever finds his way onto the field, that's the moment to sell, right? Because he's going to be in this very, very small window. So if he ever, like, just put that in the back of your mind. If this
don't draft him,
ever succeeds,
hypothetically, yes.
He's not even on my board. He's off my board. I know we get draft class. He's not. I don't care where he goes. I would not draft him.
I'm with you guys, but listen, there's people out there that are going to draft him that are probably listening to our podcast. If you do draft him, if you do
was
draft
this the dude that, like, let Theo Von said if you got like a date with somebody, like, Theo Von could go out with his mom? Is that the same kid?
I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
I don't know.
Okay.
All right. But anyway, let's move on. Just get rid of him. Sell high the second he's a starter, if he ever gets in anyway.
You won't ever have the opportunity. Don't worry about it.
Moving on to our next guy, Taylen Green, Arkansas quarterback, 6'6", 227 pounds, 9 7/8 inch hands, 34 3/4 inch arms. He is 23 years old. He'll turn 24 in October. This guy's numbers are ridiculous. 40 in the 40, he had a 4.36. He had 11 foot 2 inch broad jump and a 43.5 inch vertical. The dude is insanely athletic. Last year at Arkansas, in 12 games, he had 198 completions out of 326 attempts for a 60.7% completion percentage, 2,714 yards passing, 19 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He had 139 rushing attempts, 777 yards rushing, and 8 rushing touchdowns.
So this is the guy I was talking about. Like, I have to get shares of, just because if he gets on the field, he's going to score. I don't need him to throw the football. Like, I'm trying to find a way for this guy to touch the football on my team. Taylen Green, Matt, you mentioned those combine numbers. His 40-yard dash at 4.36, the second fastest 40-yard dash in combine history, only second to Michael Vick when it comes to speed. His 43.5-inch vertical, the best by a quarterback ever at the NFL combine. His 11-foot 2-inch broad jump, the best by a quarterback in NFL history. To say the guy destroyed the combine is an understatement for a quarterback. And he's 6'6", 227. So again, it does make sense if your vert's really high, if you're 6'6", right? Like in your broad jump, it should be really good. And listen, talk about some of the pros, athleticism off the charts. It shows there. He's a dual threat quarterback. He averaged 5.6 yards per carry just in 2025 on scrambles. He's got that breakaway speed. So like, he could turn any play into a big chunk play. And what's nice as well is, like, his arms got some zip to it, right? Like,
oh yeah,
he could throw that football, man. He's got a cannon for an arm. He could push the ball downfield. I think he had where was it? He and is fast. He was timed over 21 miles per hour multiple times. I saw him throw a couple balls into windows, and the ball's just on top of that player like that. He does a really good job of like extending plays, with his arms as well. So he likes to move outside the pocket, even if like the RPO breaks down. Ton of highlights out there with the 100-yard games. He had a couple deep pass, like touchdown, like over like 60-yard touchdown passes. So like, you're like, oh wow, like if you watch just the good on Taylen Green, you're like, this dude's the number one pick in the draft, like easily. This guy is unbelievable, and he started off at Boise State as well. So before we went to Arkansas, I started off at Boise State, and when you watch him, like it's weird to see like a guy of this caliber have such a strong arm usually too. Usually guys are like these big athletes that have like no hope at quarterback. He's got hope at quarterback. But again, like going back to like even his completion percentage, his career completion percentage overall is like, it's right around like 60%, right? Like his mechanics and everything, like his whole body of like quarterback etiquette, it's not good. Like when you put him under pressure, like he's all over the place, man. Like his ball's just like he's sailing down the field.
He's gonna have 2 or 3 duds, I feel like, per game, like just horrible throws. So then you're like, what the fuck? I mean, what the heck was that, dude?
You could tell like when he's playing the good teams like out there as well, like he's not really understanding what the defense is kind of giving him. Like he's easily confused, like, which means he gets to NFL level, they're just going to absolutely destroy him. Like he doesn't really, like when he gets behind the center, like he doesn't know what he's seeing. It seems like.
To your point, like I couldn't tell if he was just making terrible decisions trying to get a ball in there, or if he's just not seeing the field. You know what I mean? Like, is he so locked in on just his guy that he's trying to throw to that he doesn't see the 2 or 3 other defenders that are around? Because he'll just throw right into coverage, and you're like, dude, what was that? Like, where are you throwing that? Like, there's 2 guys underneath that throw, and you didn't even try to go over top of them. You tried to like laser it through them. So yeah, there is some. He's missing some nuances. But he's athletically, he's a freak.
And he shows these weird, like he'll put together like a series, right? Like he'll get in this like nice little rhythm, and he looks like a quarterback. And like,
right.
But it's these really small windows, which again, it gets me somewhat excited. Like from a fantasy perspective, it gets me excited because I think he'll get an opportunity. Like I think he's gonna get okay draft cap. Like somebody's gonna draft him. Like if he went on day 2, like it wouldn't surprise me in the least bit if he went. This guy's a 3rd round quarterback, at all. If not like high in the 4th. Like to me, he is again a developmental quarterback that needs time, and there's a lot of guys who are talking about that. Like, oh, these guys, if they get a little bit of time, it worries you a little bit because again, for how strong the 27 class is going to be. Like these guys were like, oh, even if say he goes in the 3rd round, that same team would be still probably take a quarterback in the 1st round, and then he's buried again. But with Taylen Green, what you have is, and why you should draft him over like the 9th receiver is because anytime he gets on the field, there is a good chance because there going to be a lot of him running the football, right? Like think of just Justin Fields, right? That's a good way to think about it, where he has an opportunity to score you 10 plus fantasy points if he gets on the field. I don't know when he's going to get on the field or how.
Yeah,
but the kid is a freak athletically, and guys like that always find an opportunity at some point in the NFL. Some people want to see what they have in him at some point, and it might not be until 2020, late 2027, 2028. But at some point, he will get an opportunity to show what he can do. But it's going to be a while.
Yeah, totally. I guess to add on to that stuff that you were talking about, and I kind of interjected already. But as far as his legs go, he's super fast in a straight line. Did you guys notice he has a hard time changing directions and really had to like gear down at times to avoid guys in the open?
Long, so I'll say he takes those. He's like a gazelle out there.
He is, but I mean, that kind of stuff is it leads to big hits, and I'm afraid that might be kind of one of the outcomes of this guy, because I don't know that he can protect himself. He couldn't really protect himself in the open field at the college level when guys aren't as big, as strong, as fast as they are going to be in the NFL. So that's another worry kind of on top of everything else, that he's going to get exposed. I mean, 6'6", 227 pounds sounds big. You see that guy, he looks pretty lean. He's not, Jaden Daniels skinny or anything like that, but at 6'6", 240 is feeling pretty thick, pretty good. 227 is actually, he's a little on the thinner side, and I just don't want to see this guy, taking those big hits, because I'm not sure he could take him at the NFL level.
You're right. He is lean, Matt. Like for his, like you're, if you saw him, just like a picture of him against a white wall, like you had no idea how tall he was. Like you'd be like, oh, he's a pretty skinny guy.
Yeah.
Right.
He's one of those players that I'll have a hard time drafting, and I get it because there's a ceiling there, but there's a few things for me that I can't get past. Rich, you kind of mentioned it. For me, it was whenever his first read wasn't there, like he could play in rhythm when his first read was there. If his first read's not there, it's time to run, because he's not going to be able to make a play other than his first read in the past game. That's really hard to overcome. And what I tend to value most is like accuracy, mental processing, things like that. Like those guys just aren't long for the NFL if he even gets the shot, because you'll see most coaches, we talk about, I would love to get this guy with McVay, but who do the McVays tend to go for? Who do the Shanahans tend to go for? It's the guys that can process their offense quickly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I'm just not sure that he's going to be able to do. But it was even some like small things too, and granted, it's combine, whatever, but watching him have to do the 3-step drops at the combine, it looked so foreign to him. You could tell he's a guy that always played from the shotgun, because trying to do a 3-step drop, he like kind of threw it off his back foot. And I was like, what is that? Like, it was weird. So there seems to be so much that he would have to overcome as a passer. I just don't know that it's worth it, even though the upside is so tantalizing. It's one of those ones where it feels like, we talk about lottery tickets. This one feels like, yes, it is the $1 million winner, but there's only one. And all the other ones are $0 busts. And so could it happen? It could, but it just feels so unlikely to me.
And you're right. When I say day 2 pick, he win the third round. You're right. He is such a mess. And actually in hindsight, you think about it, like, there's a thing of like being too tall. Like those guys are 6'6", 6'7". They really never pan out either. Like because their body's just like too. It's hard to be like that athletic when they're big in the NFL. You can do it in the NBA in a smaller court, but in the NFL it's harder that be. And you're right. Like when you go back and you watch the tape, like he is so like just a big athlete.
Like
you watch his feet.
Scenario, he's
his
Terrell
eyes.
Pryor. Like that's best case, and Terrell Pryor lost his job and had to go to receiver.
Yeah, Terrell Pryor's best year was 1 year when he was a Browns. He had 1,000 yards receiver as a receiver. That was his best
probably
year.
What Green should do.
That's what I said. Like he's like he could be like a different. He's so athletic. Why wouldn't you play him as just like a receiver or something? Like
yes.
Well, I mean, we've seen other guys try. You know what I mean?
His hips
and then
his
switch
hips
position.
probably, like you said, Matt, he probably can't run a route if his life depended on it.
He can't change directions. Yeah.
Yeah, you talked me down.
So,
I was excited about his numbers because they're so exciting. But
so
you're right,
good.
Garrett. Like, but in this draft class, like 4th round, why not? Like, what else am I going to draft?
You say Terrell Pryor, like Joe Milton might be like his ceiling. You know what I mean? To me, like the guy that came out of Tennessee from a couple years ago, that might be his ceiling as a quarterback. So I don't know.
You're right. You get so excited about like you see a guy do things like that athletically, and you're like you get so excited about it, and you're like, you gotta go back. He's a quarterback, and there's that's elite. I don't care. Like I started to show what do I want my quarterback to be super smart and accurate, and he's not any of those. Like I'm not saying he's a dumb person, but from a quarterback, like I say, smart quarterback, smart again.
Right. Processing,
no mechanics,
processing. Yes.
Quick
getting
releases.
Through reads. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, He can't even like use his eyes like for defenses. Like he's all over the place. It's just his interceptions. You look at him sometimes. You're like, dude, what are you doing? Like what was going there? That's it. But if you watch the highlights, you're like, ooh la la.
Oh yeah, highlights are great.
The good is very good. with that guy. All right, let's move on to our last guy here. Luke Altmyer, Illinois quarterback, 6'2", 210 pounds, 9-inch hands, 29 and 7/8 inch arms. He's 23 years old. He'll be 24 in October. At the combine, he ran a 4.72 in the 40. He had a 9.6 broad and a 32-inch vertical. I'm not sure why you're doing those, if those are the numbers you're going to be putting up, but all right. I think maybe he just got wrapped up in it. No, I know it's not that bad. I'm just kidding.
This should be a very short preview, in my opinion.
At Illinois last year, in 13 games, he completed 246 passes out of 365 for a 67.4% completion percentage, 3,007 yards passing, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 100 rush attempts, 242 yards rushing, and 5 touchdowns.
So based on your comment, Rich, I'm guessing you're not a big Luke Altmyer guy. I actually didn't hate his tape.
I don't hate it either.
When I watched Luke Altmyer play, he was a guy that was regularly like on time, in rhythm, didn't turn the ball over, and would make some plays at the end of the game. So I think his ceiling is extremely, extremely capped. Like there's not much, like I wish him and Taylen Green could like merge together, because they would be an amazing player then. Because what one's good at, the other's not really that great at, and vice versa. But I do think he's a player, when you talk about the guys that do not the sexy things, but the things that NFL coaches are going to like, he's tough. Like, dude got smoked at times. I mean, his offensive line left him out to dry. I think I didn't love his pocket feel. I think sometimes some of that was self-inflicted as well. But he came back in big games. He put some numbers up against some good opponents that you wouldn't necessarily expect. 328 yards and 2 touchdowns against USC. Come back and win that game. Against Ohio State, 248 and a touchdown. He had several like 300-yard passing games over the course of the season. But it's the 22 passing touchdowns to the 5 interceptions. He protected the ball. And you would see some games that he would run a little bit too. 88-yard rushing game, 62-yard rushing game. So he's one of those guys that when he needs to, he can tuck it and run, but he's not a plus athlete. That's not how he's going to win at the next level. Even though I do like this player, he's a very solid career backup that'll get spot starts here and there and won't kill you when he's in, but he's never going to have the ceiling to be a starter. So that's the hard part. Even though I think, higher than you, Rich, I'm still not high enough to say, like, I would rather take running back 12 and I'll know what I have when I have it. I just don't know that there's ever really enough ceiling here.
I totally agree with you. He does everything across the board relatively well. You know what I mean? There's not a lot that you can really knock about this guy, other than the fact that he doesn't have any high-end attributes. So, he's pretty clean, pretty efficient. I think, the pocket stuff, I think that's because he's not, to your point, he's not a plus athlete. I think he does, his instinct is to step up in the pocket, which is good. That's how they teach it. You know what I mean? Like, he's not escaping out of the back or off the side or anything like that. Obviously does not present the type of upside of a guy like, Drew Allar, obviously.
No,
nowhere close to anything like that. And he is one of these guys that's going to be a good backup, I think, for years to come. So from fantasy football standpoint, he just doesn't offer that much. To me, I see a guy like a Cody Kessler, right? Like when he came to the Browns, I think he was a 3rd-round draft pick or something like that. And the moment he stepped on the field, you knew, this guy's a backup quarterback. He can come in relief, and he can win you a game if your starter goes down. If an NFL defense has a whole week to plan for this guy, he's going to have a hard time. He's going to struggle. So I think that's what this guy is. But on the flip side of that, like, he took Illinois to a 9-4 record. So there's something there that's like maybe a little bit more than a Cody Kessler, because it's Illinois. I mean, Kessler was at USC doing that kind of stuff with really good talent around him. This guy's at Illinois, winning some games and doing some things. So I think you mentioned it, and I'll say it again. I think coaches are going to love this guy because they know exactly what they're going to get out of him. I think they're going to be able to teach him a system, and he's going to be able to come in on short notice, during a game and come do some things. So I think from that standpoint, he's valuable in the NFL. From a fantasy standpoint, there's not much there.
Yeah, I don't think he's valuable to the NFL too. I think Cody Kessler was a much more athletic quarterback than Luke Altmyer too. This is the kind of guy that I've seen 1,000 times. Very solid college quarterback, right? Go out there, good for you. Made the Big Ten. Tell your grandkids that you played quarterback in college, the Big Ten at Illinois. Something to hang your head on, but like this dude's not athletic. And to me, it really comes down to I think he could process. I think he read some defenses, keep some plays alive, and do good enough. But dude, when I watch his arm, dude, it's not good. There's no real big zip on his arm.
Yeah.
So when I say not athletic too, he doesn't have an NFL arm. I think NFL defenses would eat up his balls. I think he's kind of quarterback that could throw a lot of picks, right? I don't think he can get the ball there. I
can't let that go, man, without laughing. Sorry.
Gobble,
I
gobble.
tried to keep a straight face.
Gobble, gobble, gobble. So, yeah, I just don't think he has anything at all to strive. You said, Matt, I think he'd be a really good backup for a long time. I don't think he can even be a good backup for the time. I think he's the kind of guy that sits on a practice squad, and he's the QB3, and he ends up being a backup when the main quarterback gets hurt. And he's I've seen probably 2,000 quarterbacks better than Luke Altmyer. And he's fine. And you're right. I understand what you guys are saying. Cause he's fine. When you watch it, from a college quarterback, he's fine. But from a quarterback standpoint, dude, he does that thing where he passes the ball sometimes.
He does what coaches like though. He'll get a job because he's a coach friendly quarterback. He'll get in with the right system. And when that coach goes to a new team as an OC, he takes him with him to be the bridge guy because he knows the system, can teach it to the guy. That's the kind of player he is, which once again is not great for us for fantasy football, but he does those things well.
See, I think he'll be frustrating for a coach at NFL level. Cause I think he'll know what he's supposed to do, but he's always just going to be a hair slow. Cause not because of his arm, essentially. I feel like for him, everything would be a split second behind on him. And we all know in NFL, a split second is it's the difference between winning and losing when it comes to a quarterback. And I just don't see it. Again, I don't sit here and try to say anything about quarterbacks or anything that surprised me at the quarterback level. But for him, man, I want nothing to do with him. I think he's a one contract quarterback in the NFL. If that, I think he's a quarterback 3 NFL roster. If he gets drafted, it's the 7th round of the NFL draft, something along those lines.
Yeah, probably.
And he's not even, like you said, I'd rather take the last running. I'd rather take Diego Pavia, and I'm not taking Diego Pavia.
Oh no, I'm taking him over Pavia.
It's just, I just don't see, he's the epitome of you're cutting him in 2 years off your roster. There's 0% chance in my, again, 0.01%.
I would say every time you say 0%, I feel like it happens. So you got to give some percentage.
Yeah, 0.1% chance, man, on this guy. It's just everything's just slightly not good enough. He knows what's going on. It's just he can't execute at a high level. I think it was good enough for some games in Illinois, but it will not be good against the Seattle Seahawks. It has no chance against the Minnesota Vikings. It's got no chance against the Cleveland. You know what I mean? He's got no chance, I don't think, to be an NFL quarterback. So that's how I'll wrap up my episode 1 of the quarterback class. And don't worry, we got tomorrow a whole another show of more quarterbacks.
We got a whole bunch of no more chance guys.
The best thing is, this was the best of the bunch.
I was going to say, the second show, not to get you guys too excited, but the next group's worse than this one.
Yeah,
it is.
This was Drew Allar, Garrett Nussmeier. I kind of want to take some shots on those guys on my roster, right?
Yeah.
We got one of those guys. We got one. Find out who, though, tomorrow with episode 2 of the 2026 Rookie Quarterbacks.
Adios.